First, there was a need and demand for raw materials. With the advent of the Industrial Revolution, the use of machinery that required coal and later on oil increased sharply. With this, there was an increase in demand for products such as tin and rubber to produce secondary products, namely tin cans and tires. Southeast Asia is rich with resources and also had land that was suitable to grow crops like sugar, of which the Europeans wished to establish plantations and grow the crops on. Second, there was a need to search for new markets. The Industrial Revolution led to an increase in production. Mass production led to a surplus of manufactured goods, of which new markets were needed to sell these to. The issue with native European markets was that there was a prolonged period of economic downturn, known as the Long Depression. The direct result was the average spending power of a European consumer was significantly reduced. This in turn meant that the ability for Europeans to sell consumer goods to their citizens and other Europeans was posed with significant difficulty. In response, the European powers looked to colonize overseas territories. Unlike Europe, these colonies were not yet industrialized and were a prime market for European manufactured goods. The Europeans also wanted to ensure that they could monopolize these overseas markets to sell their own goods. This contributed to the next phase of colonization. Third, there was a power shift in Europe, alongside increased competition. Firstly, the Europeans had increased competition due to industrialization. The Franco-Prussian War, which led to the unification of Germany and decline in power of the French state, meant that Germany became stronger as a result of the war. With this strengthening of power, Germany was incentivized to establish colonies of its own. This challenged Britain's dominance in Europe, and the result was an increased desire among Europeans to colonize Southeast Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. In the infamous Scramble for Africa, the European-owned African colonies rose from 10% of Africa's landmass in 1870 to about 89% in 1903. This was a result of the Franco-Prussian War's effect on European competition. Fourth, they colonized under the pretense of the civilizing mission. With the Industrial Revolution, the Europeans became advanced militarily, economically, and politically. This advancement reinforced their perceived sense of duty to civilize the backwards people in other parts of the world to the same level of progress as them. They also wanted to spread the faith of Christianity. It included attempts of administrative reforms, educational system reforms, and healthcare transformation. Yet so, the concern for the well-being of native populations was usually less important than the political and economic motivations for imperialism.